To rectify past blunders is impossible, but we might profit by the experience of them. We must consult our means rather than our wishes. Associate with man of good quality if you esteem your own reputation, for it is better to be alone than in bad company. 100,000 men, coming one after another, cannot move a ton weight, but the united strength of 50 would transport it with ease. Perseverance and spirit have done wonders in all ages. It is better to be alone than in bad company. 3 things prompt men to a regular discharge of their duty in time of action: natural bravery, hope of reward, and fear of punishment. The harder the conflict, the greater the triumph. 99% of failures come from people who make excuses. It is better to offer no excuse than a bad one. Happiness depends more upon the internal frame of a person's own mind than on the externals in the world. If we are wise, let us prepare for the worst. Leadership is not only having a vision, but also having the courage, the discipline, and the resources to get you there. Truth will ultimately prevail where there are pains to bring it to light. Agriculture is the most healthful, most useful, and most noble employment of man. I hope I shall possess firmness and virtue enough to maintain what I consider the most enviable of all titles, the character of an honest man. To contract new debts is not the way to pay old ones. A pack of jackasses led by a lion is superior to a pack of lions led by a jackass. Example, whether it be good or bad, has a powerful influence. Let your heart feel for the afflictions and distress of everyone, and let your hand give in proportion to your purse. Undertake not what you cannot perform, but be careful to keep your promise. To persevere in one's duty and be silent is the best answer to calumny. Happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. My mother was the most beautiful woman I ever saw. All I am, I owe to my mother. Decision-making, like coffee, needs a cooling process. Patience is a noble virtue, and when rightly exercised, does not fail of its reward. It is infinitely better to have a few good men than many indifferent ones. There is but one straight course, and that is to seek truth and pursue it steadily. We cannot guarantee success. We can strive to deserve it. When one side only of a story is heard and often repeated, the human mind becomes impressed with it insensibly. To speak evil of anyone unless there are unequivocal proofs of their deserving it, is an injury for which there is no adequate reparation. Do not conceive that fine clothes make fine men, any more than fine feathers make fine birds. True friendship is a plant of slow growth. To err is nature, to rectify error is glory. You have only one way to convince others: listen to them. The turning points of lives are not the great moments. The real crises are often concealed in occurrences so trivial in appearance that they pass unobserved. A government is like fire, a handy servant, but a dangerous master. I have always considered marriage as the most interesting event of one's life, the foundation of happiness or misery. It is at all times easier to make enemies than friends. There is no practice more dangerous than that of borrowing money. Have the strength to be an honest person. There is nothing so likely to produce peace as to be well prepared to meet the enemy. Good company will always be found much less expensive than bad. Strive not with your superiors in argument, but always submit your judgment to others with modesty. Be not hasty to believe flying reports to the disparagement of any. Speak not evil of the absent, for it is unjust. The most certain way to make a man your enemy is to tell him you esteem him such. It is in vain, I perceive, to look for ease and happiness in a world of troubles. Your love of liberty, your respect for the laws, your habits of industry, and your practice of the moral and religious obligations are the strongest claims to national and individual happiness. We should not look back. It is only to derive useful lessons from past errors and for the purpose of profiting by dearly bought experience. Be not forward, but friendly and courteous, the first to salute, hear, and answer, and be not pensive when it is time to converse. I can never think of promoting my convenience at the expense of a friend's interest and inclination. It is much easier at all times to prevent an evil than to rectify mistakes. It is to be lamented that great characters are seldom without a blot. Serious misfortunes, originating in misrepresentation, frequently flow and spread before they can be dissipated by truth. Sleep not when others speak, sit not when others stand, speak not when you should hold your peace, walk not when others stop. We must take human nature as we find it. Perfection falls not to the share of mortals. Labor to keep alive in your breast that little spark of celestial fire called conscience. Speak not injurious words, neither in jest nor earnest. Scoff at none, though they give occasion. Be not glad at the misfortune of another, though he may be your enemy. When a man does all he can, though it succeeds not well, blame not him that did it. It's wonderful what we can do if we're always doing. Rise early, that by habit it may become familiar, agreeable, healthy, and profitable. Nothing can be more hurtful to the service than the neglect of discipline, for that discipline, more than numbers, gives one army the superiority over another. Give not advice without being asked, and when desired, do it briefly. If we cannot learn wisdom from experience, it is hard to say where it is to be found. Honesty will be found on every experiment to be the best and only true policy. Let us then, as a nation, be just. Thank you for watching. Stay blessed.